When we left Arturo last time, he was again at Sunday dinner with the family and had just been talking to his crush, Carmen. We just found out that someone else wanted to develop the empty lot next to his family restaurant and would possibly be in competition with his family for the space. All right, we're starting on back of the table on page 44 in the middle. Back at the table, Vanessa carefully placed each drinking glass in the exact same position. She complained that Bren was slamming them on the table too hard. He's going to break the glasses, Arturo. Tell him to be careful. Vanessa was older than us by 6 months, and she ran in social circles that included girls and guys who were likely to become senators, ambassadors, and Nobel Prize winners. Bren held the glass in his hand and started at Vanessa. "What is that smell?" he asked, wrinkling her nose. Bren quietly sniffed his armpits. "It's Mira Bro Power Deodorant." "Mira Bro?" Was a line of really sparkly men's jewelry, tight patterned shirts and jeans, most famously a really potent men's deodorant. Only two people I knew wore that stuff, Bren and Martin. My family piled around the large table as my mom brought out food from the kitchen. Vanessa brushed against Bren's shoulder as she stepped around him, which must have made him nervous because he looked like he could fall face first into the picadillo. "If you want to impress a girl, Brendan, do it with this," Vanessa said, pointing to his head. "Not with that." She scrunched her face and held her breath, avoiding any more of the funky deodorant. I quickly glanced at Carmen, and we made eye contact. I think I smiled. I can't be sure, because it felt like there was an organ lodged in my throat, so maybe it looked like I was choking instead of smiling. Almost as soon as Abuela had finished leading prayer, the family started talking about the lot situation. "Okay, so what's the plan, Carrie?" Uncle Carlos asked. "Yes, fearless leader, what is the plan?" Aunt Tutti challenged. "The plan," my mom began, "is to go about business as usual." "What?" Questions and complaints fired back and forth across the table. "What are you talking about, Carrie? You want to do nothing?" "Listen, everyone." My mom stood her hand on my dad's chair. "We present our proposal to expand. The city is still going to hold a public forum. Well, Wilfredo people doesn't change that. We are considered favorites because we are the true face of this community. Our neighbors know us and trust us. If we start trying to do something drastic and changing what people love about our place, we'll confuse the community, and then we'll really be in trouble." My family hurled more complaints across the table like we were playing a really angry game of verbal dodgeball. Carrie's right. Nobody's ever accomplished anything by doing nothing. I don't agree. I don't agree. Everyone turned to Tia, Abuela Josefina, who almost never spoke. "What don't you agree with, Tia?" my mom asked. "Everything." Voices erupted, and soon it felt like there was one big noise demon hovering over the dinner table. Then Abuela stood, and everyone froze. "La comida se va a enfriar." It's going to get cold. It was hard for Abuela to get the words out, but she still sounded powerful. Aunt Tutti and the rest of the adults looked embarrassed. What followed was the quietest dinner we'd ever had. The only sounds were the clinking of forks and spoons against plates and serving dishes. Occasionally, Vanessa would sigh heavily when she got an unfortunate whiff of Bren's deodorant. I could tell he was trying not to make any sudden movement so he could contain his smell. I picked up my picadillo and I rolled the olives and crispy potatoes around my fork. Wondered why my family couldn't agree on the right thing to do with the Wilfredo. La cocina de la isla had been in my family forever. It was our second home, and we just wanted to share more of it with the town. What would Wilfredo people want with this old lot? How do you spell his name? Carmen had popped up right next to my face and scared me so much that I accidentally launched a few peas at Martin. He wasn't pleased. Mop and Bren finished eating and got up from the table, so Carmen slid into Mop's seat next to me. Geez, you have to go stop springing up on me like that. Sorry, Carmen said. She had her phone in her hand, ready to type. I looked at the lot and saw Mop and Bren at the edge of the patio, looking into the restaurant at me. Mop gave thumbs up while Bren gyrated and did some weird dance moves and almost fell over.
Carmen said, sounding totally pumped up. I'd put your phone away if I were you, I warned. Tia Abuela Josefina will pinch your ear and take it away if she sees it at the table. I'll be careful. Carmen didn't even have time to finish her sentence before Tia Abuela Josefina swooped in, plucked Carmen's phone from her hands, and set it on the serving counter next to the urns of my family members who were here in spirit. I told you so, I said. Well, at least she didn't pinch my ear, Carmen giggled, and the sound made my insides feel like there was a 6-pound snapper flopping around in there. Hey, I said, shaking off the funny feeling, maybe we should sneak into Alfredo's house and find out where she's hiding the dead bodies? I looked at Carmen, totally confused. Huh? That's not what you were thinking, she asked. That's not what you were thinking, she asked. I was thinking we should check out his store. That's what I was thinking, Carmen said, and tightened her lips. She looked as though she had eaten something she wasn't sure she liked. We'll go and see what kind of store he has. Maybe it will give us clues about what he plans to do with the lot if he wins. What if he's plotting a sinister takeover of Miami? We're the only ones who can stop him. Or, she leaned in close, squinted, and whispered, what if he's an alien sent down to probe us before the invading army attacks and eats all of our brains? I stared. Or, I said, he wants to expand his business into the lot because it's a popular location. Or that. So, Carmen continued, what's the plan? We'll go to his place together. Okay, bring your best disguise, she said, like it was the most normal thing in the world to say. Why? I asked. Because we're going sleuthing. Sleuthing. Carmen jumped into her original seat when Mop came back inside. He gave me a wink and nudge, and I could feel my cheeks burning. To make matters worse, I looked over at Abuela, and she was watching me with a sly smile. She raised her eyebrows up and down like she was in on a joke. I didn't get it. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I stayed awake in my bed, wondering what on earth Carmen meant about wearing a disguise. Chapter 6, Cigar Box Secrets. A few days had passed, and we were doing a bad job of going about it business as usual. The vibe at La Cocina de la Isla felt like guacamole that had turned brown and bitter. And Tuti kept mumbling to herself about how much she disliked Wilfredo. Abuela started complaining more frequently about her breathing, and you could tell it was getting harder for her to get around. This had everyone on edge. Martin was in an especially nasty mood today, and I could hear him yelling orders at the cooks. He waddled around like a hippo, standing on 2 feet, and the mixture of the highly perfumed deodorant and fried grease was making me queasy. As soon as the lunch shift ended, I took my bag and shoved my dishwasher shirt inside. I still had Carmen's book of poetry in it, and I made a mental note to return it to her. Poetry was definitely not in my future. I bolted out of the restaurant and went home to play video games, but guess who I saw on my way? That's right, Carmen. Hey, I said, careful not to sound too excited. Hey, she said, so, had a nice day? Yeah, she said, I went to Abuela's house and watched TV with her, but she was coughing a lot, so I just let her rest. Then I went with my dad to the store. Cool, thanks for checking on Abuela. We're family, that's what we do. I can't lie, I felt a little deflated when she said that, like cake cooked at the wrong temperature. I don't know why I cared so much, but I didn't want Carmen saying we were related. Carmen kept talking to fill the silence while I was thinking. I liked hanging out with Abuela. It's just nice to feel close to people, you know. Yeah, I said, thinking Carmen must really miss her mom. It's the same thing when we talk. You and Abuela are both kind souls. Did she really just compare hanging out with me to hanging out with someone's grandmother? She sees me like an abuela? I rushed into telling a story so I wouldn't have to think about Carmen had said anymore. Abuela used to take me to the beach early in the morning every summer until she got sick. Really? Just me and Abuela? She would show up at the door with a bag full of beach toys, already wearing sunscreen, a wide brimmed hat, straw hat, and really round sunglasses. Sometimes I sleep in my swim trunks so I'd be ready first thing. How cute. Sounds like fun. Yeah, we would go to the beach before anyone else. She'd hold my hand as we picked conch shells out of the shallow water. Then I'd stand on her knees and she'd pretend she was a jet ski, twirling me around. I haven't been to the beach in a while. My mom and I used to do the jet ski thing too, Carmen said. How long ago did she get sick? Doesn't matter, she said, and then suddenly changed the subject. Hey, do you want to go to Wilfredo People's store? We could try to go tomorrow. Yeah, sure. But what about the disguises? What about them? She said, arching her eyebrow. Why do we have to dress up again? Because your face will be too recognizable, she shouted. Wilfredo has been to La Cocina, and we might not be able to collect as much evidence if he sees you. Evidence of what? I asked. Anything, Arturo. It could be anything. When we got home, I saw Abuela outside, carefully tending to her plants in the courtyard. She drops soil onto the ground and spread it with a cane she started using to help her get around. Carmen ran to Abuela and gave her a kiss. I grabbed a pair of gloves from Abuela and got onto my hands and knees to help spread the dirt around the base of the floribunda bush. It hasn't bloomed at all, I said. She just needs a little TLC, Carmen replied. When I finished patting down the dirt, I took the gloves off and folded them. I wiped the sweat off my face. With my arm accidentally smudged a little dirt across my forehead. Abuela handed me a white handkerchief. Carmen giggled and pointed. I think there might be compost on your forehead. I rubbed it off and stared at it. Great. I'd smudged poop on my face in front of Carmen. Why couldn't I just be cool? Pronto, yo creo, Abuela said, interrupting the awkwardness. She keeps thinking they're going to bloom soon. I said, smearing the compost back into the grass, but we've tried everything. A little hope never hurt anyone, Carmen said. Abuela told us about the time Abuelo had made her grilled steak with black beans, and he kept overcooking the steak and undercooking the beans. But he never stopped trying, she said. I guess watching the flowerless floribunda made Abuela think of Abuelo. Uncle Frank stepped out of the apartment and called to Carmen. Can you help me with something, mi amor? Si, papi, she said, then turned back to me. I'll see you later. I nodded and kind of waved. Abuela noticed and nudged me forward, encouraged me to say goodbye properly. I gave Carmen a double kiss, which sent my face into a lobster boil. Great. Thanks for listening. Bye.